A shocking turn of events has hit the Chicago Bears, and fans, you're going to want to hear this. Just when it seemed the team couldn't catch a break, some huge updates have dropped, both good and bad. From key injuries shaking the roster to major voices inside the building breaking their silence, we've got it all covered right now. So let's dive straight into the truth behind what's really happening in Chicago. The Bears' injury report this week is loaded, and it's giving fans every reason to hold their breath. Several new names have popped up, but thankfully, there's also a silver lining in this storm. Before we get to the biggest headlines, Ben Johnson spoke with the media, giving a clear evaluation of the Bears' offense after reviewing every bit of film from the first 4 weeks. His thoughts reveal a lot about where this team stands heading into the next matchup, and I'll share my reaction right after we break down the biggest updates. But before we jump into the latest Bears news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and hit that bell icon so you never miss any major Bears updates. Now, let's move on to the new news. And let's start with something positive. Kyler Gordon is officially back. This isn't just a minor headline, it's a major lift for a defense that's been missing his presence badly. Gordon practiced before the bye week, and now he's confirmed to the media that he'll be suiting up Monday night against the Washington Commanders. The timing couldn't be better. The Bears' secondary has struggled, and getting Gordon back changes everything. Coaches like Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson have praised him for his versatility, a real Swiss Army knife on defense. He's not just a corner, he's a weapon they can move all over the field, outside corner, nickel, even safety if needed. Nick Mloud did what he could in Gordon's absence, and credit to him, stepping in as a journeyman is no easy task. But there's no comparison here. Gordon's physicality, his tackling and run support, and his ability to bring pressure on blitzes make him a difference maker. The Bears have been getting gashed on the ground far too often. With Gordon back, expect the energy, discipline, and tackling intensity to rise instantly. Chicago needs that right now. And most importantly, they need him to stay healthy. This is just the beginning of what could be a huge turnaround week for the Bears. Stay with me, because the next updates might surprise you even more. TJ Edwards' return might be one of the most underrated storylines heading into this week, but make no mistake, it's a big deal for the Chicago Bears. After missing time, Edwards was back on the practice field and looked sharp, showing no visible limitations. He didn't speak to the media, but all signs point to him suiting up Monday night, barring any last-minute setback. Now, here's where things get interesting: the linebacker shuffle. Last year, Edwards played the will linebacker spot in Matt Eberflus' system, while Tremaine Edmunds handled the Mike role. But during training camp, the coaching staff did something smart. They had both players take reps at each position, preparing for exactly this kind of situation. When Edwards went down, Noah Sewell stepped up and took over at Mike linebacker, while Edmunds shifted to the will spot, and surprisingly, he's been thriving there. Edmunds looks more comfortable, faster, and overall more productive at will than he did playing Mike last year. He's made splash plays that we just didn't see before, even if he hasn't lived up entirely to that massive contract. So the real question now is, do the Bears move Edmunds back to Mike and slide Edwards to Will? Or do they keep the chemistry as it is, Edmunds at Will and Edwards filling in at Mike? Personally, it makes sense to keep things steady. Edmunds has momentum at Will, and Edwards has the instincts and discipline to command the Mike spot with authority. Regardless of how the staff arranges it, having Edwards back is a big win, especially for a defense that's been struggling to stop the run. But there's another name fans should be watching closely this week: Austin Booker. The Bears just opened his practice window, and that could be a quiet turning point for this pass rush. Because right now, not a single Bears defender has more than one sack, a stat that speaks volumes. Booker's potential impact can't be ignored. If he's healthy and activated, he could inject some much-needed energy and explosiveness off the edge. Combine that with Edwards' return and Gordon's presence in coverage, and suddenly, this defense looks more balanced, more aggressive, and ready to fight again. So, as the Bears prepare for Monday night, one thing's for sure: this lineup is starting to look a lot more dangerous. Stay with me, because the next update might just change how you see this team completely. The Bears' pass rush has been one of the biggest question marks through 4 games, and the numbers speak for themselves. Just 5 total sacks, coming from 5 different players. Montez Sweat, Jervin Dexter, Deo Odiingbo, Dominique Robinson, and Tno Pasignian all chipping in once, but not a single consistent finisher emerging yet. Now, is rookie Austin Booker going to magically fix this? Probably not. But can he spark something? Absolutely. During the preseason, Booker flashed real promise, quick burst off the line, relentless motor, and an energy this defense desperately needs. It's a different ballgame in the regular season, sure, and he's coming off an injury, but if he's healthy, it's time to put him on that field. The Bears need juice off the edge, and Booker might just be that shot of adrenaline Dennis Allen has been searching for. Speaking of returns, there's another under-the-radar storyline, Travis Homer. With his practice window open, all signs point to him being reactivated to the 53-man roster soon. But here's where things get tricky. What happens to Roscoe Johnson? Roscoe hasn't logged an offensive snap this year, playing strictly on special teams, and that's exactly where Homer shines. Having both on the roster doing the same limited role feels redundant. If the staff has to make a choice, they might decide to roll with the more proven special teams ace in Homer. It's a tough situation, but that's the reality of roster construction in a competitive NFL environment. And now, let's talk about Darnell Wright, because this situation might be more concerning than it looks. Wright was working off to the side again with trainers, rehabbing that elbow injury. I've been told there could be more to this story than the team is letting on. It might not just be a minor bruise, this could be an injury that requires management week to week, depending on pain tolerance. If Wright can't go, the offensive line rotation is starting to take shape. Expect to see Theo Benedict at left tackle, something Ben Johnson hinted at with a knowing smile during his media appearance. The rest of the line would likely be Joe Thuney at left guard, Drew Dalman at center, Jonah Jackson at right guard, and Ozzie Trapilo at right tackle, the same group that finished last week's game in Las Vegas. It's not the perfect lineup, but given the circumstances, it's the one that makes the most sense. Still, one thing is clear, the Bears are walking a fine line with these injuries. And if this unit doesn't hold together soon, the pressure could shift from the players to the coaching staff very quickly. Stay with me, because what's coming next could completely change how we view this Bears offense. The Bears might finally be ready to test a brand new offensive tackle pairing, Theo Benedict on the left and Ozzie Trapilo on the right. And honestly, this move could tell us a lot about the team's future plans up front. Now, if Darnell Wright is healthy enough to go, there's no debate, he should be on the field. This is a crucial matchup against Washington, and the Bears can't afford to experiment too much. But if that elbow injury is still limiting him, it wouldn't be shocking if the staff decides to roll with Benedict and Trapilo for a full game just to see what they've got. The truth is, Chicago's offensive line has been in constant shuffle mode all season. You can't build rhythm or chemistry that way. At some point, the coaching staff has to commit to a combination that can protect Caleb Williams and open up running lanes with consistency. And maybe, just maybe, this is their shot to find some stability. Let's be clear, Darnell Wright remains the best tackle on this roster by a wide margin. But if that elbow keeps him from performing at his usual level, it might be smarter to give him rest now rather than risk long-term issues. That's why this week's lineup could reveal a lot about how confident the team is in its depth and whether Benedict and Trapilo can handle the pressure under primetime lights. But while all eyes are on the offensive tackles, the injury situation elsewhere is creating new concerns. Colston remains sidelined with that lingering hip issue, something that was initially labeled as minor, yet it's still holding him out. Jaquan Brisker also missed practice, and his absence is puzzling since there was no reported injury after Week 4. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, but the Bears need him healthy if they want any shot at containing Washington's explosive offense. Then there's Grady Jarrett, still battling through knee troubles, and Cairo Santos, who surprisingly popped up on the injury report with a quad issue. That one caught everyone off guard. Reporter Dan Wiederer noted that it's unclear when Santos suffered the injury or how severe it might be. If he can't go this week, the Bears could turn to Jake Moody as a temporary replacement. These are the kind of small but critical details that decide games. One injury here, one missed assignment there, it all adds up. Chicago is walking into a must-win game, and every healthy player will matter more than ever. So as kickoff approaches, keep a close eye on that offensive line and those injury updates. Because the next 48 hours could define what kind of team the Bears really are. Stay with me, the next part gets even more revealing. The Bears' injury story keeps evolving, and it's starting to feel like a weekly roller coaster. According to Dan Wiederer, there's still uncertainty surrounding Darnell Wright's elbow and Cairo Santos' quad, two key players whose availability could seriously impact Monday night's matchup. There's a bit of good news, though. Colston, or as some call him, Loveland, seems to be trending in the right direction even though he wasn't spotted at practice. It's possible the team limited his workload to avoid aggravating that hip issue. Meanwhile, TJ Edwards, who's been battling a hamstring injury, was back on the field, which is encouraging. But the real curveball? Cairo Santos. His quad injury popped up suddenly, leaving the Bears scrambling for backup plans. That's where Jake Moody could enter the picture. Moody's been on the practice squad for a few weeks now after being released by San Francisco earlier this season. His NFL journey has been a mix of highs and growing pains, early success, a few shaky stretches, and a noticeable dip in confidence toward the end of his time with the 49ers. Still, there's no denying the talent. The kid's got a cannon for a leg capable of drilling 50-yarders with ease when he's in rhythm. The problem has always been consistency. He's hit around 74% of his career field goals, which isn't elite, but he's also shown flashes that make you believe he could be great again with the right mindset. Now imagine this: Monday night, Soldier Field, down by 2 points with less than a minute to go. Jake Moody steps up for a 46-yard attempt, the game on the line, the season's momentum hanging in the air. That's the kind of heart-pounding, edge-of-your-seat moment Bears fans live for, and dread at the same time. Whether it's Santos or Moody handling the kicking duties, special teams could quietly decide this game. Every point will matter, especially against a Commanders team that thrives on keeping games tight. As for the offense, Ben Johnson gave a refreshingly honest assessment when asked about the first 4 weeks of film review. His words were sharp and real: "We're still a work in progress. Some things we're doing well, some things we're not. The inconsistency is killing us, too many penalties, too many drives starting behind the sticks." He's right. The Bears have shown flashes of real potential, moments where everything clicks, but they've also been their own worst enemy, stalling drives with mental mistakes and discipline issues. Johnson gave the players credit for bouncing back mid-drive, but he made it clear that kind of football won't win games long-term. This is a team standing at a crossroads, flashes of promise surrounded by frustration. But something about this week feels different. Maybe it's the returning players. Maybe it's the urgency of a must-win moment. Either way, the Bears are running out of chances to prove they can turn potential into production. Stay with me, because what Ben Johnson said next might be the most brutally honest thing we've heard all season. The Bears' running game, let's be honest, is still finding its rhythm. The chemistry isn't fully there yet, and you can tell they're not firing on all cylinders. But here's the thing: Ben Johnson isn't panicking. In fact, he said he's been pretty happy with the drop-back passing game, and that says a lot about the direction this offense is heading. Now, if you've been watching closely, you know penalties have been a huge issue. In 3 of the first 4 games, we've seen flags at the worst possible moments, both before and after the snap. Those little mistakes? They're killing momentum. They've pushed the team into too many long yardage situations. But credit where it's due, Caleb Williams has shown something special. Time and time again, he's erased those third-and-longs with his arm and poise. Still, as Ben said, you can't live like that forever. You've got to stay ahead of the chains, and that starts with the ground game. The Bears need more consistent runs, those 4, 5, 6-yard pickups that keep drives alive. Too often, they're stuck with 1- and 2-yard gains that put them behind early. Yet even with that inconsistency, there's a surprising amount of promise here. Right now, the Bears sit 11th in scoring, and the passing attack? Above average. The run game isn't where they want it yet, but on third downs, they're one of the best in the league, sitting at 6th overall. The red zone numbers dipped a bit after that Raiders matchup, sure, but they're still finishing drives at a respectable rate. And when you really watch this team play, you see the signs. The play designs are there. The strategy makes sense. Ben Johnson's dialing up plays that work, they just need the execution to catch up. Once the run game clicks and a few small details tighten up, this offense could take a major leap forward. So stay with me, because if this trend continues, the Chicago Bears might be closer to finding their true offensive identity than most people realize. When you really step back and look at it, the Chicago Bears offense might be closer to something special than most people think. I still believe this group has the potential to become a top 10 offense, maybe even this year. Now sure, for that to happen, the run game has to take a big step forward. It's not quite there yet, but the pieces are in place. The passing game, on the other hand, that's where things start to get exciting. You can see the rhythm developing, the confidence building. Caleb Williams looks calmer, sharper, and more in control than he did last season. He's not perfect yet, but you can feel the growth every week. And let's talk about Romo Duns, what a season he's having. He's becoming the kind of player defenses have to game plan around. The Bears are finally generating explosive plays again, and that alone changes everything. What makes this even more encouraging is that the biggest problems are fixable. Pre-snap penalties, timing issues, little execution details, all of those can be cleaned up. And despite those hiccups, this offense is already producing at a level that's above what Bears fans are used to seeing. Imagine this team once they iron out the small mistakes. Imagine when the run game clicks, and Caleb doesn't have to carry the load by himself every week. That's when this offense could turn the corner from promising to dangerous. If you're grading it honestly, from a pure NFL perspective, maybe it's middle of the pack right now. But through the Bears' lens? With a new system and a young quarterback still learning? That's a solid B in my book. And for Chicago, that's real progress. It's not hype, it's the foundation of something that could grow into one of the most exciting offensive units this franchise has seen in years. Stay with me, because if this development continues, the next few weeks might just show us the real ceiling of this Bears offense.